It is definitely a Monday.
Oh, don't you dare look back, just keep your eyes on me. I said you're holding back. She said, shut up and dance with me. This woman is my destiny. She said, ooh, ooh, shut up and dance with me. We were victims of the night.
Hello, and welcome to episode 35 of KnitScents. My name is Jan, and you can find me as Jan Ellen RN on Ravelry, on Instagram. I'm on Snapchat. I don't know what I'm on as, and I don't snap, but I'm over there. So if I'm not there as Jan Ellen RN, I am there as Mom Has Three. So if you happen to go over to Snapchat, maybe at one point I'll be on there. Who knows? I'm actually, every time I go to do, I've been trying to do the Instagram live feed, and every time I'm somewhere where I think to do it, I have no signal. So follow me on Instagram. Maybe at one point there'll be a live feed. I know this. I'm already I'm already off the rails. This is a typical Monday, and has already started with a bang. But before I forget, this Wednesday, I just actually found out this morning that Christy Glass will be at the Long Island Livestock Company, which is, I know I've spoken about it before in previous podcasts. It's a local alpaca farm that's local to me. It's here in Yaphank on Long Island. And Christy Glass will be paying a visit on Wednesday and staying for an open knit night, Wednesday night. So I am going to try to make it. I don't try planning too far ahead because for me it's usually a fail. So I'm not going to plan on it. It's just in the back of my mind. So hopefully if I do go, I might be able to do a live feed from there and give you all a glimpse of Christy Glass at the Long Island Livestock Company. So anyway, it is Monday. It is November 6th. It was not a great weekend. Not here, but yesterday in Texas. And my thoughts and my prayers and my heart just goes out to the victims, the families, the community. I have no words. I really have no words. Last week there was an event here in New York on the west side, on the bicycle path. And it's a sadness. It's just a sadness that literally breaks your heart. I can only send my thoughts and, like I said, a piece of my heart to the people that are affected, that entire community. We're all with you. We are all behind you. And I know that there is nothing, I don't think anybody could say, that will lessen the pain or take it away from any of the victims or the families of any of these horrendous attacks that are going on, not only in this country, but around the world. But we are of one. We are all humans. We are all human beings. And it's very, very hard. I can't imagine not being touched by any of this. So having said all that, let's move on. Today, like I said, otherwise here it was a pretty quiet weekend. It's been a very busy week and a half, I think it's been, since I recorded. And if I didn't record today, it was going to turn into another one of those 2, 3, 4 week gaps. And I did not want that to happen. I have made a commitment to do this. And so regardless of the fact that it's It's the 6th. What did I say it was? The 6th? It feels like a Friday the 13th today. You know it's going to be one of those days when you get up and you wash your hair and find out that you used conditioner instead of shampoo. And then when you come out of the shower, you look and you go to make the bed and you look and you see that your dog ate, not even chewed up, but just literally ate your headphones. I don't know how that, and to be honest, I haven't seen the dog since. That dog knows that dog's in big trouble. So that's how my day started. So we're going to try to get through this episode with a minimum of calamity, fuss, phones ringing, doors slamming, people yelling. Let's just hope things go smoothly. The one thing I am going to say, I don't know why. It's absolutely, the weather here has been just disgusting, bordering on horrendous. That's all I can say. We had one reasonably cool fall day, and in between that we have had one day of just sheer buckets of rain coming down like crazy, and then it was muggy and it felt like Florida tropical weather. And we're in another one of those patterns now. It rained the other day, it's raining this morning, it's supposed to be thunderstorms. I don't know how my hair hasn't turned into Orphan Annie yet, but it will before this day is done. It is so humid, it is like sucking the life out of me. It is hot, it is humid, and it is November. These don't go together. So having said all of that, I am sitting here with my drink. Now, I have to say, what I was getting at before, again, I got sidetracked, was for some reason, the belt on my pants, if you hear this squeaking noise, this has never happened before, but the belt on my pants has decided to squeak on the back of the chair, so I'm going to try really hard not to squeak. So it's either the squeaking belt or the squeaking feet on the chair. I'm starting to think I need to get another chair here when I record, because this one seems to be causing an awful lot of fuss and muss that really isn't necessary. But I have today, and we're not going to spill. We're not going to spill anything. I have to say, I had to make an emergency run to the bank. So I ran up to the bank, and I was dying of thirst, and I didn't want to get out of the car. It was humid, and it's hot, and it was nasty. So there was a Popeyes, which is new to here. I have never gone into a Popeyes. They're not around this area. I don't know if that's the only one or if there are other ones. I don't even eat meat. And the smell of like fried, when you go into those fried hamburger places, sometimes the smell can be really overwhelming. But anyway, so I went to the drive up, and the woman opens the window to hand me the soda, and like the smell just hits you. But it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I actually said to them, "What are you cooking in there? It smells so good, and I don't even eat meat." So I don't know if any of y'all have been into Popeyes. You gotta, leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of it, how good it is. Because I would go in just for the French fries, because whatever was in there, I would go in there just to sit there and enjoy the smell. But I had to tell you, whatever they were cooking in that Popeyes smelled awfully good to me. So anyway, that's what we have Diet Coke from Popeyes, and we are gonna jump in because what am I, 8 minutes in, and I haven't even said a word about knitting. So we have today works in progress, and they are 2 new works in progress. So that should say that I do have a finished object. So we have works in progress, we have a finished object. I have done some spinning, but again, I am not finished with that. I'm almost done with that Into the World braid that I was working on. So maybe by today, because I don't think I'm going to get too much else done today. I'm not going back out because it's supposed to be even worse later, and it was bad enough when I was out earlier. So maybe I'll do some spinning later after I get this edited and uploaded, and how long that's going to take, I don't know. And I do have some stash enhancement. I don't know. It doesn't stop. I can't stop. I think I need a handler. I really do. I think I need a guardian when I go into these places. That and when I go into Sephora, I really think I shouldn't go in alone. It's just not safe. And then I actually have a review of some needles that I got. Now, I have to be honest, I checked my last episode and I didn't review them there. I don't know if I reviewed them in the episode before. I don't think so. If I did, well, this is just going to be a second review of them. But I did get the interchangeable Chalgu needles. No, I'm sorry. I have the interchangeable Chalgu needles. These are the interchangeable Hiya needles. And I did get the full set. It does come in 2 sizes, and I will talk about all that when I get to the needles. But let's start with what is on the needles so that we can actually move this along. So, project number 1 that I started, that I had been waiting to start for a long time, is Birds of a Feather. It is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and I'm going to try to pull it up on here. Let's see. I don't know why. Obviously I should. There we go. See, it keeps stinging. I don't know why. I should prepare better. Maybe some notes or something would be helpful. Let's see. After 35 episodes, you would think that I would think of these things, but I don't. Here it is. Birds of a Feather. This is a triangular shawl. Even though, you know, when I first started to do it, I actually thought it was an oblong. So let's see. That's what it looks like. And let's see if I can get a shot where it actually shows that it's, I think it's a triangular, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it's like an asymmetrical triangle. But there it is. And it is very, very similar in construction to Find Your Fade, except that Find Your Fade starts at one end and goes straight across the other end, widening, and then when you stop the increases, it just keeps on going. This one, I believe, is starting at the bottom point and then keeps on increasing out. But the increase style is the same on each end, and the center double decrease is the same. The wrong side rows are the same. So in that end, the construction, I think, is similar, but I believe instead of in Find Your Fade, there was a point where you stopped increasing, and it just went up to create that asymmetrical wrap shape, whereas this one, I believe, keeps increasing to keep on to create the triangular shape. Okay. And then the only other difference in this one is, if you can tell on here, I don't know how, oh, there you go, it's showing. The very light section that you see, right? I know, I'm afraid if I touch it, it's going to disappear, but that very light section in this sample is actually the same color as this, except this is mohair, lace mohair, and this section is a skinny singles. And this sample is done in hedgehog fibers. I believe the sample is done in the colorway Crybaby. And like I said, it's very similar in the Find Your Fade in that one section is garter, then you do a garter section in the mohair, another garter section in the skinny singles, another mohair garter section, and then there's a lace section. And I believe those continue until you complete the pattern. So that's the gist of it. And what I did, I couldn't find Crybaby. It was sold out online. I couldn't find it. I did purchase the yarn at Do You Knit, and I chose the colorway Zephyr, which I am actually really loving how it's knitting up. So let's see if we can find the right side. My little sucre. Let's get this off here. Okay, here we go. We're going to squeak. Ouch. Okay, I'm actually a hot mess today. The allergies, every joint in my body is stiff. This weather is just killing me. Okay, I griped enough. You want to hear my complaining. Here we go. All right, this is what I have so far. I just cast this on after I recorded last. So again, you start with, I think you cast on 3 stitches, something like that, and we're working our way up. So you can see where I guess the triangle shape will be forming. But I am just loving this colorway. And you can see this is actually both. The mohair is in Zephyr, and this is Hedgehog Fibers Kid Silk mohair in colorway Zephyr, and this is their skinny singles in the colorway Zephyr. And the only difference is how the fiber takes the yarn, how the fiber takes the colorway, the colors. I think this weather is just starting to just make me a little loopy. Okay. Same dye, same colorway, came differently on the different fibers. Okay, and I love how that knits up because, I've said it before, I'm a sucker with the speckles on a white or an off-white background to begin with, but then when you add in a much lighter white area with even less speckles on it, if that makes sense, to offset it, I just am crazy about it. So this has been super, super simple. I've only done the garter. I'm on the second mohair garter. So my next section will be in the skinny singles in the lace pattern, which I have not done yet. And the only thing is that I'm not, squeak, squeak. The only thing is I should take the belt off. There's no chart. So I'm hoping that I can easily memorize, or it's a repeatable pattern for the lace, because I don't do well with the written directions. I can't follow it and I forget where I am, and with a chart for some reason it's just easier for me to see. But I'm assuming since it's not charted that it's a pretty repetitive pattern. So that is my Birds of a Feather. I'm really enjoying it. These are knit on size, I believe size 6, 4mm, yeah, size 6 needles. And these are the interchangeable Hiyas that I was talking about, and I will go more into, but I love these needles, absolutely love these needles. So that is project number 1 that I just cast on. I do have a couple of whips. I know my, whatever the heck was the name of that sweater that I can't remember, but I'm all the way done with, except for the mistake I made on the sleeve. That's sort of sitting somewhere in a bag. So that's one. And the other project that I cast on, and it was like when I got the yarn for it, it was a couple months ago, 2 months ago, and I'm like, oh, I have time. I don't need it until January. And all of a sudden now the calendar is closing in and the clock is ticking, and I'm not getting too far. So what I cast on was, and I know I've shown the yarn for this, and I believe I actually showed the pattern. I know it's all stained with coffee. This is one of the yarns, and obviously the pattern, that suffered from that coffee fiasco that my dog caused, but we won't even talk about it. We'll just get past it. The pattern is super, super simple, and it's totally readable from the back. And I'm not even sure, the only name I could find on here other than the name of the yarn was Oshare the Love. But when I looked it up on Ravelry, nothing came up. So, and there doesn't seem to be any pattern name on here other than that. Yeah, it's Oshare the Love, and it says designed by Donna Higgins. I tried to pull this up on Ravelry and I could not find it. So maybe if you are interested in the pattern, it's put out by Big Bad Wool, and that is the company that makes both the Weepaca, which is a superwash alpaca, and this bumpy yarn, which I'll show you all in a minute. So perhaps they would have, if you go to that website, they might have the pattern available there. So I cast on. And as you can see, I guess I've made some progress, but I really kind of need to put the pedal to the metal on this. But I am really enjoying working on this. This is fun, and I think it's just an absolutely adorable, adorable baby gift. I really do. And it's really, really a simple knit. I'm just going to hold a side of it. Now there were two options. Here's you know I had to run into some kind of trouble. There are two options. It says that you need 7 skeins of the Weepacker, which I have, boy, do I have a lot more skeins, but this is what I have left of my 3rd skein. And I am finished with 2 out of 4 repeats. Okay, so it starts with the little pink pom-poms, then you do a repeat without. Actually, I'm not even finished with my 2nd repeat. I did the little pom-poms, and I'm just starting the solid repeat for the 2nd time. So I'm not even finished with my 2nd repeat yet, and this is my 3rd skein of yarn. And it says to use 7, that you need 7. I think I was cutting it awfully close, and I think here's the reason why. They give you 2 options for the border. The first option is the one shown in the picture, which is a crocheted edge. And I thought, and the other one is basically to just do a garter border. And I thought, A, that would be easier for me, and B, since the whole thing is stockinette, I wasn't sure that that 2-row crochet border would keep it from curling. So overall, I just thought a garter stitch border would work better, which is what I did. So essentially, you're doing, is it 10 rows or 20 rows? I think it's actually 20 rows. No, I'm sorry, it's 10 rows, top and bottom in garter that you're adding on, and 10 stitches, 5 stitches on each side to form the garter. And I just don't think that that's accounted for in the pattern. Even though it gives you those directions, that you can do either one, when it calls for 7 skeins in the pattern, I don't think that accounts for the border, because I was really afraid that I was not going to have enough yarn. And the last thing I needed to do was run out at the last minute. And I really didn't. This actually, I think it's going to make, I thought it was going to be smaller. It's pretty wide, as you can see, and obviously I'm not even stretching it. So I was kind of hoping to make it a nice size blanket. Originally, I thought it was going to be a narrow, sort of almost like just for a car seat. But this definitely has the potential, if you make it, you know, even maybe add an extra 5th repeat, to be a regular crib size blanket, which is fine with me, because the, let's see, it's Oshare Pom Pom is the other yarn that you use, which is this one. And as you can see, there's plenty on this spool. There's plenty on the spool, I think, to make at least 2 blankets. I don't know, the yardage is not written anywhere on here, but just from what I've used, and like I said, I've already finished 2 out of 4 sections, and this doesn't even look like I touched it. So I wasn't concerned about running out of this, but I was concerned. It's the other yarn is the Big Bad Wool Weepacker, which is 50% fine washable merino and 50% baby alpaca. And the colorway I'm using is called Roll White. And it says hand wash or cold, gentle machine wash. And to be honest, I'd be a little leery of that. If I were going to put it in the machine, which it is supposed to be superwash and machine washable, but I was able to felt splice the ends together. So that would already make me a little bit nervous about putting it in the machine. But having said that, I think if you put it in on gentle and, you'd be okay if your machine is really gentle and you put it on like a low spin, not the high spin. If your machine is adjustable, that should be fine. So what I did was I called up, I had purchased the yarn at Do You Knit in Westfield, New Jersey, I think. Well, it's in New Jersey. Fabulous store. If you don't follow their podcast, it's the Yarn Pin Podcast. You find it on YouTube. And just sit back and be prepared to be enabled, because Lord knows they enabled me a lot. And I'm glad they did. So I called the store and they were able to find 3 more skeins for me, same dye lot. And so that was great. So I took 3 skeins and I figured if I had left over, since I knew I was going to have leftover with the pink pom-poms, I could make a little jacket, a little sweater, a hat. I mean, you can't go wrong. And the alpaca yarn, it's so soft. I mean, there really isn't anything that you can't make with it, especially for a baby. So I could knit a sweater, I could knit a little jacket thing. So that was fine. So I figured the 3 would cover me. And then lo and behold, a friend of mine had told me about a yarn store. And now I've lived on the island almost all my life. And it's a store in Rockville Center, which, if you're not familiar with the anatomy of the island, I live in Suffolk, that's further east. I grew up in Nassau County, which is the west side of Long Island. And at any rate, I found this yarn store and it was like this little jewel. Do you ever just find like this little local yarn store, which looks like it's going to be nothing? And you walk in and you're like, oh, everything's all over. And then you start to really take a look and they have just some of the most amazing treasures in there. Some of the nicest yarn and patterns and all of a sudden it like, yeah, well, lo and behold, they had the Weepaca and it was in the same dye lot. So I picked up 2 more skeins just in case. So for sure I will be knitting, since I know I'm going to have extra, I will be knitting a jacket or a little sweater or coat or something, and this is going to come off the needles. So let's do this and try to be sensible. Here we go. Okay, yes, 2 minutes. And a little hat or something. So that is the only other thing that's on my needles. And they did get a lot of love, but the reason they didn't get, and I didn't finish up anything else, was because I spent all my time finishing up, yes, it is done, my Find Your Fade. And I am so thrilled that this is finished. And it was like the closer I got, I think when I last recorded, I was still on colorway 6 or just transitioning into colorway 6. I don't remember, but I think I was somewhere down here. And I was determined. I mean, at that point, I was just absolutely determined to get this thing finished. So here it is. It is huge, huge. So I'm going to stand up. Chair noise. Oh, there we go. Okay. So let's see. Here is my Find Your Fade. Oh, gosh. Okay. So that's the one end. That is like where the darker end is. And then you come down. This is kind of like the widest point of the shawl. And then here we go, down to the gold. So we literally fade from the gold all the way down to this really dark burgundy with black in it. And I just am obsessed with this shawl. So, like I said, it's huge. I have not wound in the ends yet. There's a surprise. I have not blocked it, and that's going to be an interesting thing because there's no way. I know she says that, if you use blocking wires and what all, it'll open up the lace. But I think it's also going to make this so huge as to be almost unwearable if I make this any bigger. I mean, now it's just a super cozy, nice, easily wrapped on shawl that's wearable for me. But I think if I stretch this even the tiniest bit, it's going to get to the point where it's like completely ridiculous. So, squeak. Is there ever an episode? Obviously, this isn't going to be the phone ringing episode. This is going to be the squeaky belt episode. Oh gosh, I can't win. But I am so, so glad that I knit this. I love it. I know this is going to be like my go-to for the winter. If we ever get a winter, I actually am going to have to take it off right now because it's so humid in here that I'm going to pass out. But if you have not knit one, I highly recommend this pattern. It was a fun knit. It's a super easy knit. This does not require any crazy talents other than a yarn over and a knit two together and a double decrease, which is super easy to learn. And it's just fun. It's pretty. You can pick out, I mean, the color combinations are endless, obviously. Whatever your favorites are, or step out of your box. Highly, highly recommended. I think it's been popular for this long for a reason. I think people are not only knitting it but they're enjoying it and maybe knitting more than one. If I knit another one, I would have to take a break because, again, the Birds of a Feather, the construction is very similar, so I don't know that I could plunge right into this. And I still have my Shishui Shrug on the agenda that I have the yarn for. And I might have done a little bit of enabling, which brings me to two more projects that I wasn't counting on doing. So why don't I think that's it for stuff that's in progress. So we can move right on over to how I managed to enable myself. So one was a trip to a local yarn store that I have gone to for years. I've been in and out. And they have lately, the store is called Knit, and it's located in Roslyn, New York. And the last time I was in there, I've noticed that, well, they moved. The store moved just from down street level to, upstairs. It's not, they didn't really move location. But they've really gone in a different direction. It's very exciting because they're bringing in more indie dyers. They're looking at more of the current patterns on Ravelry and getting yarns that suit those patterns. I know they've done a lot of speckle and pop kits for people that were knitting the speckle and pop with Stephen West. So I've been going in there, and I went in there to get something, probably didn't even get it, but saw a yarn that was on the wall, and I was like, I didn't even care what I was going to knit with the yarn. I just saw it, and it was all over. It is, let's see, it's Manos del Uruguay Alegria Grande, and I saw pink and black and white, and that was all I had to see. Those are my favorite colors together. And again, I have stepped out of my box. I have been. My Find Your Fade, very little pink and black and white and, little pastels in there. I went down with the warm tones, and I'm thrilled. I absolutely love it. But sometimes you see something in your box, and you just got to get it. So this one, I think, is the colorway Cabaret. For some reason, she left me the tags, but didn't put them. Yeah, this must be the colorway Cabaret. And again, this is Alegria Grande, Merino Superwash, and Nylon. 25% nylon, and they're 197 yards per skein, and I'm going to say this is a DK. Let's see. This requires math. 18 to 20 stitches in 4 inches. It's, what is that, 5 stitches to the end? So I'm going to say it's like a DK. Maybe a very light worsted. This colorway is called Petal. So we have these two. And then, oh, gosh, the fiber, everything is sticking in this humidity, and I'm like covered with fiber. And this one is called Naturally. So, these 3 colors. And the one thing I will say that I was very good is I was not coming home with a single skein, not knowing what I was going to do with it, and I wasn't coming home without at least a plan. When I execute this plan, I don't know. That's neither here nor there. But I was going to purchase it with a purpose. So, and I put it all in a Ziploc bag with the purpose written on the bag. I mean, I'm getting really good here. Why? Because I've got, I don't know how many bins of single skeins or whatever skeins for projects that I don't even remember what the heck they were for. So I labeled this, and this is for a shawl called Interlude, which I will pull up and show you real quick, because this one I actually did have pulled up. So this is what it looks like. Let's see if we can. And it's not a complicated shawl, but in those 3 colors, I just thought it would be great. Now, the only thing is that, this is a good picture of it. Let's see. Okay. So my problem, I don't want to say my problem, my dilemma. My dilemma is, where do I put the solids and where do I put the pink, the tricolor one? Because my inclination would be to put the solids on either end and put the, the tricolor one in the middle here. But this middle section is like a lace section, but it's not an intricate lace. I think it's just like a yarn over, knit 2 together type lace. And I'm thinking, even with the variegated yarn, it would be fine there. And these 2 ends will stripe with it, because you can see that this will stripe, the variegated will stripe with the white, and here the variegated will stripe with the pink. So that's what I'm thinking. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you think it would work better a different way. But that's what I'm thinking about right now. But I thought this pattern would be great with it. Loved it. And I think this calls for a worsted. Let's see, in the gauge on this, 16 stitches to 4 inches. And I think that one is, what did I say? 20 stitches to 4 inches. So we'll have to play with the gauge. But anyway, so that was one enabling. And the other one was when I went into that second yarn store, and I think the name of it is on here. It's called the Knitting Store. And that is also in Nassau County. It is in Rockville Center, which is on the south shore of Nassau County. I'm sorry, my allergies today. It is just a huge allergy alert day. Anyway, I saw this kit and just, oh boy. This is for the Peacock Shawl Kit, and it is by Art Yarns. And the main color is, actually the kit is in ivory, so I'm not sure if they give a colorway. I can't even, no, it doesn't say. All it says, this is 80% extra fine merino and 20% cashmere, and there's 437 yards. And the contrast yarn, this yarn, I don't even know if I'm showing it. I'm like looking at what I'm doing here, not looking at what I'm doing. Okay, this is 100% silk with glass beads and sequins. And it goes from sort of in, again, I'm not even in camera here. What am I thinking? Like this light, I want to say beige, but it's kind of almost a nude beige. Like this is ivory. This is definitely ivory. This one is kind of almost like a pinky nude, I would say. And then it goes from a very pale green into a darker green, into a much darker green, and then into a silvery blue. And I just saw this. I didn't even know. I didn't even look at the shawl. I didn't care. I loved this kit. There's another option for it. And again, it is by Art Yarns, so I don't know if it's available on their website. It is the Peacock Shawl Kit. And here is a picture of the finished shawl. And again, this is in the two colors. I think you can actually see it better in the blue. But this is the one in the colorway that I picked, and it's a very light open lace weight shawl, and then it has the sequins and the glass beads, and I went just, I mean, yeah. So that, I believe, is all the enabling that I have. I don't know if they take orders online. You can follow them on Instagram. I don't know if this store takes orders, but anyway, it's called The Knitting Store, and you can find them on Facebook and on Instagram. So if you're interested in the kit, I'm sure if you gave the store a call, they may be able to help you out. So that is it for enabling, works in progress, finished objects, and all of that stuff. And the only other thing that I wanted to talk about, and again, I'm sorry if I actually went over this again. I don't remember having reviewed these, but I really wanted to talk about them because I was not aware that these needles were out there. And I saw somebody talking about them and decided to give them a try because I love my Likey needles. I really do. I love my Likey interchangeable needles, but I really am a metal needle person. Seems somebody was sneaking in the refrigerator behind me. I'm looking and I'm like, is something moving back there? My daughter was hungry. Go figure. You gotta feed him, right? Anyway, I really do love my my metal needles, and the one thing that attracted me to this set was the tips of these needles and the range of sizes in the set, and I thought I really have to give this a try, and I'm really, really glad that I did. These are the Hiya interchangeable needles, metal needles, and it's the limited edition interchangeable set. Let me show you the card. Now, I found these and purchased these on Amazon. They do have, I got the 5-inch sharps, and that's the thing. Make sure if these are the ones that you want, these are the Hiya limited edition sharp needles. They do also have this in a 4-inch set, which I did not get because I do have the Likey needles in the 4-inch tips. So if I need to make a 16-inch for any reason, I would use those. And I didn't see the need to buy another set in 4 inches because even though my hands are small, I actually do prefer a 5-inch needle. For some reason, even with small hands, so I don't know how people knit with those, that 4-inch needle hits me in a really bad spot. And I find that with the 5-inch, my hands are on the needles and I like it better. But that's personal preference. Just to let you know that these do come in a 4-inch tip and in a 5-inch tip. And this set includes 13 sets of 5 or 4-inch interchangeable tips, the case, 4 cables, 18, 26, 34, and 42 inches, small cable connectors, a small tip adapter, panda stoppers, single point adapters, and it also comes with a bunch of accessories. It comes with puppy snips, darnets, and knitter's safety pins. So again, this comes with, let's just see, I think it starts at a size, in fact, I'm almost sure it starts at a size 2, and I'm almost going to guarantee that I cannot see this or read this. And there's, yeah, it's a size 2. Look at that, I can see it. And it goes up to a size 10.5. Okay. It comes with the 4 cords that I mentioned. It also comes, which I thought was unusual, I've never seen an interchangeable set come with this. It comes with these, I don't even know what you would call them, adapters, or it's just a 4-inch single point adapter. Essentially what this does is if you screw the tip into this, it turns them into single point needles. Okay, and it comes with one for the smaller sizes and one for the larger size needles. So that's something I had never seen in a set before. Now, the cords, you'll notice, and I know in my Xiaogu set, Xiaogu comes in a small set, which I think is from 2 to 8 or 2 to 9 or 4 to 8 or 4 to 9, something like that. And then it comes in a larger set, or it comes in one set, which is complete. But the small cords that fit the smaller size needles do not fit the larger size needles. You have to purchase the cord or use the cord that corresponds with the size of the needle. So the small size needles take a small size cord and the large size needles take a large size cord. This set does not work that way. Even though you can see the larger sizes have a bigger piece on the end to screw the cord onto than the smaller ones do, and I don't have it with me because I believe I have it on a project. But it comes with an adapter piece, and I don't have it handy. It must be on one of my needles. It's probably actually on the needles that I'm using. Anyway, it's a little piece that screws on to the cord to make it fit the larger size needles. So you don't have to purchase different cords, any cord that will fit. And again, I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I think I've done it, the Hiya cords and the Knitter's Pride cords are you can use them both because I've done it. So if you happen to have interchangeable Knitter's Pride interchangeable needles at home or cords, they will fit. And they will fit the small and the large because what happens is there's a little piece, it comes with the set that you screw in here and then you can fit the larger tip into it. Now my first inclination was, oh great, something else for the yarn to snag on, and it's you know, the larger needles are not going to work well because they have to now pass through 2 joins. Well, I was wrong. Seamless. It was absolutely seamless. I cannot complain about the join at all. It worked beautifully. There was no snagging, no nothing. So again, I would say that to me that's a savings because you don't have to purchase different size cords. And I can say from experience that does not cause any problem with the join. It comes with not only these little grippers to tighten them up, which I have bamboo Hiya interchangeables, which only come with the grippy thing. This also comes with the tool that goes through the little hole that you use to tighten up the needle thing. I've actually only used the tool on mine and have had no problem with it separating whatsoever. I think the only needle I've ever had that had a separating problem, and it was my signature needles. Now most of mine are fixed. They're older ones. I tried to scoop up as many as I could, but I do have 1 or 2 sets of the what you call interchangeable, but they're really not interchangeable at all. Those are the only interchangeables that I have had a problem with coming loose. So I used, like I said, you can use the grippy things or the little tool, and that works. It comes, like I said, with the 4 cables, and then it comes with 2 sets of these little stoppers, which are just too cute. 1 for the small, 1 for the large, and that is if you need to take the needles off for any reason, use them on another project, you're going to put your project on hold. These actually will screw on to the cable that you have your stitches on. It will act as a stitch holder, and you can use your needles for a different project and then come back to it. And I just thought this was so cute. So that came with it. And then it came with a little sheep needle sizer. What else? There was a whole host of stuff. Not to mention the case, which I thought, you didn't get to choose the color of the case, but the case came, and I think the other one of them comes in a roll, and I believe that may be the smaller tips. Comes in a roll. This one comes with a Velcro piece, or am I supposed to say hook and loop? I'm not supposed to use the name, whatever. And it's the satin case. And again, like I said, it did come here as a wad of more accessories that it came with. These are the interchangeable connectors. Okay, so this is not the ones that you would use to use the small tip, the cable to the larger tip. These are ones that you would use if you want to make a cable longer, and it came with 2 of those. So you could basically make cable as long as you want using these connectors. This is the connector, and again, like I said, I'm using it on a different on a project. This is an interchangeable tip connector, and this is what it looks like. This basically screws on to the needle and then screws on to the cord, and it is seamless. I've had no problem with snagging. Came with 3 darning needles. I have to be honest and say that unless I'm using some really, really chunky yarn or have some real purpose for this, I do prefer the small chibi needles. I don't really use these needles very much for anything because when I weave in my ends, which I don't do very often, let's be honest, when I do, I use almost a cross between a darning needle and a sewing needle. I use the smallest chibi needle I can get a hold of because I like to split the plies when I weave in my ends, but these do come with it. It comes with it says it comes with puppy snips, and the funny thing is, mine are kitty snips, which is cute because I have puppy snips. I have a lot of puppy snips, but these are kitty snips. So it came with that, and then it came with a bunch of these removable, like the safe coil, a safety pin, whatever you call them, stitch markers, which you can always use. So that is the long and the short of what it came with, and because we're really kind of getting long here and I'm getting long-winded, I just want to talk about the needles themselves for a moment. These are extremely, extremely lightweight needles. These are not in any way heavy, but they're not light to the point where I'm afraid of bending them. I've had a good grip on them. They do not, they're not flimsy in any way, but they are very, very lightweight aluminum, extremely smooth, and what I loved was the taper on the end. They're beautifully tapered. They're very sharp. These are pointy. Now I'm a pusher. I push the end of my needle. And the only needle that I've ever really cut myself with, and I have, and drawn blood, was with my signature needles. And it's not the needle's fault. It is my fault. I push, and I happen to push right here where it really hurts. Now I'm not drawn blood with these yet, but I gotta say it's painful. They are sharp. That's my point, is that these are really, really nice and sharp, and they do have a long taper. Very, very super smooth with a little bit of grippiness. So I don't want to say you're going to lose your yarn on this. I'm actually using this on the birds of a feather with the mohair, and I've not had any problem with the with the stitches slipping off the needles, yet they are very smooth and very fast needles, and you can see with the larger sizes as well that they are nicely tapered and still very sharp, even though these are, because I find with a lot of interchangeables and a lot of needles in general, when you get up there in sizes, the larger ones don't tend to be as sharp as the smaller sizes these are. So I would highly recommend these needles if you are looking for a set of interchangeable needles. I can't recommend these highly enough. I think they come with pretty much everything that you need. Again, like I said, I'm pretty sure that this is a Knitter's Pride or a Spin. I'll have to link it below, what the other cord is, or Twist, something. Because the cable on these that come with it does not twist. But yet, I was able to use a different cord, and I guess you can't really see, but it is twisting on here. So you can purchase cords that do swivel if that's your preference. And that is the Hiya Sharp interchangeable set, limited edition. So I don't know how long these are going to be around for. I don't know if they're just temporary for the holiday season, the winter season. I'm not really sure. And I'm dropping things all over the place. But I can say that I would highly recommend, if you are in the market for a gift or for a set of interchangeable sharp needles, this would be the one I would recommend. And I think that's it. I think that's all I have. That's it. So upcoming events, like I said, hopefully I will be able to make the open knit night at Long Island Livestock with Christy Glass this coming Wednesday. If you are on the island and you would like to go, I think it is a $5 charge for light refreshments for the open knit night, and including meeting, and I don't know if there's a class or if she's doing any teaching, but I do know that it's $5. It's from 6 to 9 at the Long Island Livestock Company. You're free to bring whatever projects you're working on. And then the next thing up on the calendar is Vogue Knitting Live, which I think starts January 12th, which if I'm not mistaken is a Friday. And it is Friday through Sunday of that weekend. I will be staying in the city. Hopefully, I have not made reservations yet, so I may be staying on the street. But I am taking classes with Andrea, Mowry, and I cannot remember what the other classes I signed up for. I totally don't remember. So I will link it below, but I do know that classes are selling out pretty quickly, and I also know that the early bird pricing is on borrowed time. So if you are interested in coming to New York City and going to Vogue Knitting Live, take a look at their website. I will link it below in the show notes below, and also on my blog. So take a look at that. Take a look at their website. If we can bribe you into New York City, there is a lot to see. The hotel, the venue is the Marriott Marquis, I believe, which is just literally in Times Square. So there is so much to see in the area. If you're coming in, if you'd like to come in or interested in coming in, lots to see, lots to do. It is feasible if you're going just to the market, or if you're taking classes later on in the day. It is feasible if you cannot find a reasonable place or any place to stay in Manhattan. It is feasible to stay either on the island or in Queens and take the subway or the train. My recommendation would be, if you really want to come and you cannot find a place to stay in the city, I would say look for a hotel in Western Nassau if you need a location or a city or whatever. PM me on Ravelry, send me a message on Instagram, ask me down below in the comment section. I would be happy to direct you where you could stay. That's near the Long Island Railroad, which in Nassau County It's generally anywhere from, depending on where you're staying, a 20 to 35, at most 40-minute ride on the railroad, which will take you into Penn Station. And that's either a very short subway ride into Times Square, and that will get you right to the venue. So that may be more feasible if you find the prices in Manhattan for for lodging to be completely ridiculous. It may be a problem if you're taking a class that starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. That may not be something that you want to do. But again, if you are interested in coming and you find, you know, that staying in Manhattan, which it is ridiculously expensive, there are other options. If you'd like to come in and go to Vogue Knitting Live and see some of the sites in Manhattan, it's doable. So if you have any questions regarding that, let me know. Like I said, PM me on Ravelry, ask them below, message me on Instagram. Happy to help. So having said all of that, and the phone didn't even ring. The phone didn't ring. So that's just telling me that it is time for me to cut out and say, I wish you a happy week, a good week upcoming, and I will hopefully get back to ease my way back into my normal recording on Fridays. And between now and when I see you again, I hope that you remember to knit with sense.